Hello, everybody. This is so funny. This is our Christmas special. What are we like? We're getting carried away with ourselves, aren't we? We've done a few videos and now we're calling it a Christmas special. And we've got hats, jumpers, and Ed's got his special effects. His Christmas lights. But I suppose this was Sarah's idea, wasn't it? We thought we'd maybe just do a video on kind of what it's like at Christmas, the good and the difficult, because as you know, Christmas, and not everybody celebrates Christmas in a traditional sense, but we're all different beliefs and religions, but you know, we're all off for Christmas. Well, some of us have to work Christmas Day, but we do get a bank holiday, you know, at some period over the Christmas period. So we kind of called it a holiday special, I suppose. And yeah, we just thought it might be nice to kind of talk a wee bit about that. What's really important at Christmas and how we deal with some of the stresses of Christmas. So we're going to talk a bit about what's difficult about Christmas, and then each one of us are going to talk about how we kind of counteract some of those difficulties. Then we're going to do a practice on self-appreciation, because I think it's, you know, we've all got a tendency, haven't we, to think about the things that haven't gone well this year, or maybe be critical of ourselves. So I thought it'd be a nice time to appreciate our personal qualities. And then we have a couple of poems as well. That's it, isn't it?
That's us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah, Christmas, it's not always a time of cheer, is it? And I think, you know, I am somebody who likes Christmas, but I wouldn't say I like all of it. I wouldn't like the whole thing. There are many ups and downs as far as Christmas is concerned for me. But when we were planning this session, we talked about just some of the main worries and the difficulties that come up, didn't we? And I suppose money worries is a big one, isn't it? You know, it's not cheap.
No.
Christmas isn't cheap, and you know, a lot of people do have money worries at the best time, you know, during the year. So Christmas adds an additional worry and stress. A lot of people getting into debt and things like that as well. And you know, you're constantly watching adverts on TV, aren't you, where it's all buy, consume. And it's hard when you don't have money, and sometimes, you know, compare ourselves to other people as well at Christmas and feel bad. Maybe we haven't, you know, bought our children as much as our next door neighbours, things like that. So I suppose it's just important to think that, you know, money is an issue for some people. This thing we talked about, didn't we, Ed, about everything having to be absolutely perfect.
Absolutely. You know, you got to get everything done. The house has to be perfect. The shopping. Oh, I forgot that. It's pressure.
Yes,
And right below that, then exhaustion. You know, I'm sitting here with my diary on my kitchen table, looking at all the work I got to do before, and Christmas Day will come. I'll just want to sleep.
Yeah. And this, you know, that everything, the dinner has to be perfect. It has to be warm. You know, everybody has to be happy. Everybody has to like their presents. The house has to look lovely. We have to look lovely. You know, it just takes away from what it's supposed to be about. It's supposed to be a holiday, enjoyable, and family dynamics. You know, getting the family together can bring a lot of joy and a lot of fun, but it's not always as straightforward as that, is it? You know, for some families, there is, even, you know, well-functioning families, we've all got our dynamics, haven't we? Relationships can be strained, and you bring all those people, all those possibly stressed out people who've had their to-do list to do together, and you know, it's not always easy. And Christmas, again, it can remind us of loved ones that we've lost. You know, I know for me, I lost my mother many years ago, but Christmas was her thing. She really loved Christmas, and there's certain songs that I hear that just remind me of her, and it's painful, you know. And I suppose as well, like you were mentioning, Ed, about the work-home balance, you know, it's a busy time too, isn't it, to work in the health service? Christmas.
Christmas Eve, you're sitting there thinking of all the things I didn't get done. Oh,
Yeah.
And guess what? They'll be there after Boxing Day.
Yeah.
And those folks that are watching this on the front line, you're working Christmas, so the pressures are on you. Really thinking about you on this time.
Yeah. It's hard to balance everything, getting the work done, but also, you know, being at home and sorting out Christmas, and particularly in the last couple of years. I mean, winter pressures are always a big issue, aren't they, for people working in the health service, but particularly this year and last year, you know, it's all we're really hearing about, isn't it? So it's difficult. And yeah, Christmas can be difficult for people, and not everybody enjoys it. It can be a time of anxiety. People can feel lonely, stressed out, angry, down. We know that, you know, the Samaritans are quite busy, aren't they, over the Christmas period? A lot of people, you know, find it really difficult. So not to depress everybody today, which it all sounds a bit depressing, but I suppose we wanted to give a balanced idea about what the holiday period is about, that it's not all wonderful, you know. Anything else I forgot, guys? No?
Yeah, maybe, Carrie, you set the stage, because it can be a time of stress. Maybe we need to be upfront and put right on the table, what are we doing to keep ourselves buoyant, you know, okay at this point in time?
Yeah.
So, you know, what we practice, what we preach.
Yes. Okay. Right. So I'm up first. So these things signify, I suppose, what I try to do, Ed, as you say, you know, how I try to cope with Christmas, the holidays and all the stresses that it brings. And the first one is a picture of the sloth. And what I try to do is I try to slow down. I am a speedy person. I want to be efficient, get as much done as possible in the day, get up. I'm always on the go. And it's not always good, and it's not always enjoyable for me, or unfortunately the people around me. So, you know, I was telling you guys last week about, you know, going to Tesco's for that Christmas shop. It's so stressful, isn't it? The car parking, the crowds. Now we have to worry about COVID, masks, you know, the queues. Is everything going to be there? The short, you know, it's stressful. So what I try to do sometimes is say, right, pretend you've got all the time in the world. Deliberately walk slowly around this supermarket. If someone's coming up against you, let them go first, you know, really embody there's all the time in the world to do this, and actually try to enjoy it. You're lucky to be in a supermarket. You're lucky to have money to be able to buy food and nice treats to eat at Christmas. So have a bit of gratitude instead of complaining. And I try to, as much as possible, connect with people and try to have conversations with strangers and smile at people. And what a different experience that is to the one where I am just the normal me, which is get in, get out really, really quickly, grab things, get away again. So I try to do that. I don't always remember, and it's not like it's blissful the whole time going around the supermarket, but I try. The wee people there, the cutout people, are what's really important in life. Sometimes I have to remind myself, and it's relationships. It's not about things. It's not about having a tidy house. It's not about getting things done or having the perfect gravy or stuffing. Well, it is good when that goes well, but it's not about that. It's about relationships, isn't it? So it's about, you know, do I spend my time, you know, tidying up all the papers and everything, or will I go next door to my neighbours and sit down and have a wee cup of tea with her and let the house be a mess? Or, you know, will we go and hit the January sales, or will I just meet my sister for a wee drink and sit beside a nice cozy fire somewhere? You know, it's relationships that are important. You know, slowing down, actually interacting with your spouse or your children rather than getting everything done. The wee person on an island is about, sometimes I do need time away from everybody. So although I'm saying I love relationships, and I do, but I also need to get away. And it's not too long in this house before everybody starts getting on my nerves. You know, we're not used to being so close together all the time. It's not always blissful. And I always really struggle with that and thought, is there something wrong with us that that like day after Boxing Day, I'm cracking up at everybody? And then I realized that no, just give yourself permission to get away from everyone, you know. So maybe meet a friend or something, or we'll go for a walk. And I think that actually helps me to enjoy the Christmas period more. The wee heart there is just about self-compassion. As you know, I'm a big fan of self-compassion. I'm trying to practice it as much as I possibly can. So I'm going to try and take that with me throughout the Christmas period. Be kind to myself. What do I need? And the Andy Williams Christmas album is about, you know that song, it's the most wonderful time of the year. Terrible singer. Whenever things get really stressful, me and Tom, one of us just starts that song off and goes, it's the most, and the other person has to go, wonderful time of the year. Sometimes we sing it, sometimes we say it through gritted teeth, sometimes we add, bloody wonderful time of the year. It just depends how bad it is, but it always makes us laugh and sort of dilutes the tension a wee bit. So those are my top 5 tips. They don't always work, but I try them.
Thank you, Ciara.
Yes, mine. Just very much what you were saying, Ciara, there, an introduction there. I am personally, I would have tried to have been perfect, try to get everything done, try to make sure everybody else is happy in the family. You've got the right people, go. And I have now, over the last couple of years, sort of said, what is really important here? I'm caught up in consumerism. I'm caught up in perfection. You know what? I'm going to start to let go. And that's, as I say, it's not perfect either, but it's like, you know, I should clean the windows before Christmas. No, the windows can wait. I must get all my Christmas cards bought and sent to people, get the dresses, get the stamps. No, I'll just maybe send a nice appreciative text or email maybe to somebody, or call them maybe. Or wants, like, it's all this consumerism stuff, want. No, I don't. It's actually, what do I need? What do I need? You know, so I'm trying to drop them. I'm not saying sometimes I get stuck in a bit of a mantra too, but to step back and say, you know, what's the essence of Christmas holiday? Time with family, time with friends, and some time away from work just to breathe, you know.
Stopping for a wee while?
Yeah, stopping, because we're just used to doing all the time, doing at work, doing at home. Got no time to be, you know, we need to be, just to sit and be, you know, let it unfold. And just do things good enough as best we can, like not to get everything done. And it's okay to be different, I think, around holidays and Christmas. I don't do the whole razzmatazz decoration and things like that. And I don't used to go out and buy a new outfit and a new coat and have to be, you know, presentable for Christmas. Now I just like, let it slide, you know. It's fine. It's just that list that you build up and that's on your list that becomes stuck in your head, that becomes overwhelming, you know. Even though you're not doing anything about it, you feel overwhelmed. So it's just trying to get those things off your list and saying, no, actually this isn't going to matter whether I do this or whether I don't do it. And I suppose on the job, I, like you, when I'm busy, I start speeding up in my mind, racing mind, and then my body races. I walk like super sharp to wherever I'm going. So like a military, anybody that comes with me, they're like, oh, you walk really fast. I'm like, yeah, I need to slow down. So I do that every day. I start walking fast and then I say, no, slow, just say to myself, slow down, and a couple of deep breaths, and that's it. You know, just in the moment to think, no, Pauline, slow down, this will get done. A few deep breaths, okay, relax a bit more. And then I just want to say something about kindness, like kindness begets kindness at home and at work, and especially this time of the year when we can be self-focused. I think, you know, I just say to somebody, do you want a wee cup of tea there? I see you're under pressure, like a wee cup of tea. Ask somebody genuinely how they are doing. Or send a wee email to somebody. I like to collect some books and even poems and just send them to people randomly. And actually, it's quite interesting the response you do get. People do feel valued, they feel, oh, you know, that was really lovely, thanks so much for doing that. So I think it's hard in the midst of all the bedlam that Christmas is, but if we can just remember kindness to others, kindness to ourselves, just try it, see how you go. And my wee grounders are like nature. Being out in nature really helps me over Christmas, in work, whatever. And I listen to a comedy podcast, Tommy, Hector and Narita. It's Tommy Tiernan's podcast, and it is just laugh out loud, irreverent.
I'm writing that one down.
Yeah, honestly, I encourage people to try it. Or find something that makes you laugh out loud. Create 45 minutes in your week to listen to something that makes you feel good. And then Tara Brack is she's my little goddess personal therapist. She has her own podcast as well. She's a psychologist, meditation teacher in America, and it's what I personally like. I mean, it mightn't suit everybody, but it's kind of like having a free personal therapist, but she does accept donations. So tune into her. I would encourage them, have a wee try or find something that works for you. So that's mine. Let them go.
Brilliant. Sound advice, isn't it?
Hi. Yeah.
Thank you, Pauline. That was lovely. Many of those strategies, Ciara and Pauline, that you both shared are things that I would try to use myself. And here's just a few extra then for myself. In the top left of the picture I'm looking at, there's a very handsome chap. That's my collie pup. He's called Bear Grylls. Very intelligent and,
Very good.
and exceptionally affectionate. And beside Bear, you can see a really beautiful little kitten. That's a little kitten that we adopted and fostered last year. She was found by somebody walking home, I think, one evening through a waste ground. She was only 6 weeks old in a washing machine, I think the cylinder of a washing machine. And it was midnight. So she has been affectionately named Luna for Moon, Luna Moonbeam, by my daughter, and we call her Lulu for short. But the reason I've included Bear and Luna is because actually for me, being around animals and being around my pets is really, really therapeutic and soothing. I love sitting with my pets and stroking them and hugging them. And I find for me that really helps calm my nervous system, and just, I suppose, gives you that time of just, just be, and helps bring everything down. So I wanted to include my little pets. And actually there's quite a lot of, sorry?
They're really lovely photographs. Who's the photographer?
Thank you. That's Luna, probably after she's bitten through the lights. I think we've replaced them 3 times this year already. But sure, hey ho, it's worth it. Thank you for that. So yeah, just having that time, and there is research showing actually that spending time with animals does actually help, with stress. It decreases anxiety, depression, eases loneliness, can help boost self-esteem, and can also encourage, I suppose, exercise, structure to your day, playfulness. And even more recently, I think there's some research to show that it can improve your cardiovascular health as well. So I guess there's something about being with pets, and it does, I feel, for me, and for other people too, it almost fulfills that need, human need for touch, and again, just calming and soothing your nervous system. So that's Bear and Lulu. And then below you can see a picture of somebody hugging a tree, or kind of holding onto a tree. And just like you said, Pauline, being out in nature, in the middle of Christmas or the holiday season, it's really, really busy, go, go, go. And I feel there's something really important with just, if you can, a little bit of time out, to go for a walk, even if it's only 5 minutes, to go outside and just breathe, look at the trees, maybe take a moment to just be and to notice, whether it's the leaves or notice the color of the sky. What can you hear, listening to the birds just for a few minutes. Really, really important. And that helps to ground me. And again, just on the back of that, I very recently, I don't know if anyone else has watched, there was a program called Desperately Seeking Santa. And it was Gordon Ramsay, Gino DeCampo, and the guy, Fred from one of the programs, I think First Dates. And they had gone to Lapland to learn a little bit more about the culture. And one part of it, anyhow, they were in a beautiful forest where they were drinking this really lovely coffee. And the lady who was there had said to them that forest actually is where they have the World Championship tree hugging competition. I mean, wow, I didn't even know such a thing existed. Anyway, and what I thought was really interesting is actually they were saying that, whether you hug a person, and if you can't, hugging a tree, and I'm not saying everyone should be hugging a tree, but just in keeping with nature, actually, it really does release the well-known hormone oxytocin in terms of those kind of warm and fuzzy feelings. So I just thought, isn't that really interesting? And in fact, in Iceland, they were, through the pandemic, they were clearing paths so that people could actually access trees, so they could give them a hug, so they could get that kind of boost of dopamine and serotonin. So I just thought I would, link that in. That certainly, I think it's, for me, nature's really important. And hey ho, if you're not able to get a hug with someone and you can find a tree, send your photos.
Can't imagine Gordon Ramsay hugging a tree, Sarah. I must watch that.
It's definitely something to watch. So that's really, it was really good fun. So on the top right, then there's a beautiful little candle lit. And again, and I know you touched on this earlier, Ciara, just thinking about Christmas can be a really difficult time for people, particularly around loss and bereavement. And not just loss, it can be the loss of a loved one, but also loss of relationships. I think for people, there's been even a loss of identity in terms of their working situation. Maybe they are now back working from home, missing their colleagues. So loss of maybe colleagues and loved ones through the pandemic. It's been a really difficult time. And I think with Christmas in particular can maybe highlight or emphasize that gap even further. So different families have different traditions. In our family, we light a candle to remember those loved ones. Other people have different ways of dealing with that. But I guess it's just a time of year that I feel many people, and some of the people we've been talking to as well on the helpline, it's coming up more and more as we move into the festive period, that actually that they really, those people that they've lost, it's particularly hard for them. So just about being gentle on yourself. And if you do have somebody that you can talk to about your feelings, please do. And then my final picture, as you can see, is a hand and hope. And it's something I suppose I say quite a lot, but I think it's important to hold the hope. And that's kind of, I'm hoping that that's what that image is highlighting. Maybe just thinking about the future, you know, and better times ahead. And so for me, that just feels in the middle of a busy time and all that we have gone through, and just thinking about, you know, our staff, and as you said, Ed, earlier, particularly our frontline staff, and just, you know, the winter pressures, you know, having that feeling of hope really can reduce feelings of helplessness. It can increase some of those feelings of happiness and reduce stress, and does improve our overall quality of life. And hope implies there is the possibility of a better future during difficult times. And I just think that's really important. So I just wanted to finish. I actually, when I was thinking about hope, I'd found a little quote. So if you don't mind, I just wanted to read it out. And it's called Finding Joy. And it was really lovely and meant a lot to me. It is okay to feel both grief and gratefulness, to feel both sadness and joy, to feel both loss and hope. The emotion makes us real. And this holiday, there is truly space for both. Lovely. Thank you. Okay, Ed. Oh, sorry, Carol, you're up next.
That feels very poignant, a poignant transition. You Hyacinth Bouquet. Yeah, she always gives me a fright when I see her popping up like this. But when Ciara asked us what comes up for you at Christmas, what's stressful, what's difficult, immediately I thought to myself, oh, what I tend to do, that I also have complete control over, is I become much more aware of how I act. I'm a bit Hyacinth Bouquet at times. In my I find myself competing with the neighbors. I find myself trying to impress my mother-in-law. I find myself trying to impress friends, buying them things that I really can't afford, you know. And the other part of that is thinking I should be, I don't know, it's a vicious cycle actually, because then I go, oh, I'll find that on the internet, I'll find that, I'm sure I'll find that cheaply. I'll find that cheaper somewhere else, and I get caught up in like sitting on my phone and like late at night, going wasting the night away looking at things that really nobody wants, I can't afford, and nobody appreciates. And I think I think how utterly and completely ridiculous, and how stressful, how time wasting, how completely consumerist. And yeah, I'm holding my hands up to my inner Mrs. Bouquet, and I'm saying, feck off, Mrs. Bouquet.
Yeah.
You could go and take a hike, because yeah, it's just, I'm going to burst that bubble. It doesn't matter, but it's hugely stressful. Like, and you don't notice it. It's very insidious. It kind of creeps in, especially with, you know, your internet in your pocket all the time. Mm-hmm. You know, and I think that's part of also maybe a little bit more tricky with the move towards internet shopping. You know, everything is so available and so accessible, but just beyond, I don't know, like just beyond affordable. You know, yeah. At the same time. So yeah, if you can just put tell Mrs. Bucket to take a hike, then yeah, that's what I'm doing this year. Actually, that's my stress reliever. That's it. Yeah,
love
that's it. Short and sweet.
That's a good one, Carol. I think probably a lot of people can relate to that, can't we? No, I certainly can. Why don't you put that picture up on your fridge just to remind you of when you're getting all hyacinthy?
I could, yeah. I could, but
her husband.
My hubby is good at telling me that too, though. So you know, yeah.
He's not called Richard, is he? Richard!
No. I'm not really Hyacinth Bouquet.
No, you're not.
Yeah, but yeah, I thought these kind of characters exist anyway, because I guess we can all identify with them in some way. So like she's a bit of an archetype of, yeah, what is she? She maybe symbolizes the
Perfection.
the perfection, the one that, I don't know, the keeping up with the Joneses idea, or
image,
image, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, in the spirit of imperfection, I came very unprepared today. So, but I think it's very yeah, I think it's a nice little thing to hold on to, like this image of Hyacinth, to go, yeah, nobody likes to see you coming. Get lost now.
Get ready for it quick, Sarah. Hit the button.
Thank you, Carol. That was really, really honest. Thank you for sharing that. I think what you've said will really actually mean a lot to a lot of people. So thank you for that. Okay, and then Ed.
Yeah, well, and when you asked, what helps us stay buoyant in these, and Christmas can be stressful, but folks, this whole year has been stressful. And, if folks have heard me talk about those daily habits that we can do regularly, and I like this term, that can make a deposit in our resilient bank account. And, and over this last 16, 20 months, really been talking a lot about the role of dopamine. We have stress. Stress is going to produce those stress hormones. We can counter that by really embracing positive emotion. It's what I talked about in that clip I did last year, but it's, I really try to practice what I preach. And two things that really stand out for me in that is gratitude. Every day I'll try to really practice, really do this. What am I grateful for today? What little thing happened today that I'm proud of, I'm happy about, I enjoyed, and I'll really try to zoom in on this. And, this Christmas, and you talk about care, losing people. I lost some people very close to me this year. I'm not going to think about the loss. I'm going to think about how grateful I am that they were in my life. And the other thing that I try to do regularly, and the folks that know me, I do this, humor. Now, I'm going to get in trouble one of these days. Sometimes humor cross the line, as we all know, you get a little bit wrong, but having a good belly up laugh. Yep, you're going to produce endorphins. You are going to, it's going to counter those stress hormones. So I try to have, a laugh quite regularly. Now, do I do that on my own? Of course I do. Now, we didn't bind anybody to confidentiality, but I'm going to say this. I do this quite regularly. What I'm going to be doing Christmas Eve, I do it every year. I will be sitting out in my garden late after midnight, and I'll be a bit anxious. Am I on that? Sure. But I'll look up in the sky, and I'm a grown man, but I'll be looking for the big guy. I will be looking. And if I see a shooting star or an airplane, there he is, I just get so excited. And guaranteed what I'll do, my neighbors, I'll just listen. I'll hear the laughter of children. I'll, if I don't get to see my own grandkids, I'll phone them and we'll do FaceTime. What technology has brought, it's brought us to you, but it's also brought so much things. I'm grateful for this. So many things in my life that I'll really enjoy. Christmas Day, I will get a video of 2 7-year-olds just, shouting and screaming and laughing, Santa came. So, it's balancing that. And then final thought, Christmas is one day of the year. It's one day out of 365. But I want to hold on to some of those joyous things. So it moves in out of Boxing Day, carries me on and keep going. And the other thing I'll be very grateful for on Christmas Day is leftovers, because leftovers makes Boxing Day dinner easy to make.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Here. Fabulous. Thank you, Ed. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to do a practice called appreciation of our qualities, because that is really, really, really important. We're human beings, so that means we've got good qualities and not so good qualities. So appreciating yourself, it's not about being really selfish, it's just about being realistic, really. And there is a culture, isn't there, in Northern Ireland, that you don't, you know, you never, you don't want to be boastful, you don't want to speak up about yourself, or, you know, compliments. How do we feel when we get compliments? You know, again, Northern Ireland's very quick to minimize it, aren't we, and say, oh, no, 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 no. So this is kind of turning that around a wee bit. And what I love about this practice actually is that when we think about our good qualities, we also remember the people that helped us, that nurtured us along the way in our lives, family, friends, colleagues, patients, clients, the people that helped us to develop these qualities. So as with all these practices, get yourself comfy if you can. Carolyn, we're in your car. So feet on the floor if you can, bum in the seat, back in the chair, and just take a wee minute or two to slow down and get into your body instead of being in your head, if you can. And just taking a few deep breaths in through your nose and out through the mouth. And maybe making the out breath a wee bit longer than the in breath. And if you want to, you can engage in soothing touch, hand on your heart or hand on your other hand. Just a hand somewhere in your body that brings with it some warmth, care and affection, just like you would for somebody that you really loved and cared about. And if it's okay, allow yourself to think of 3 to 5 things that you appreciate about yourself. Now, the first few things that come to mind might be things that are really important to you, or they might seem superficial, but just, if you can, open yourself up to what really, really, really deep down that you like and appreciate about yourself. Take your time and be really honest with yourself. No being embarrassed, no worries about being boastful. Genuinely, what do you really appreciate about yourself? What are your qualities? They don't have to be anything fancy. Could be, I don't know, you're good at singing. Could be you're kind. You're a good worker. You're funny. You're a good cook. You keep going at things even when it's difficult. You're forgiving, you're loving. And if it's really difficult, sometimes other people notice their qualities. So if you can't think of one for yourself, what do you think someone that knows you and likes you would say that your qualities are? And just considering each of these positive qualities one by one. And give yourself an inner nod of appreciation for having these gifts. Now you might notice a bit of discomfort as you think about your good qualities. That's okay. Just make space for it and allow it to be there. Just let your experience be just as it is. And remind yourself that you're not saying that you always show these good qualities. You're not saying that you're better than anybody else. All you're simply doing is acknowledging that you have these qualities and they're there some of the time. And maybe consider if there are any people who helped you to develop your good qualities. Could be friends, parents, teachers, maybe authors of books, poets, meditation teachers, patients, clients, colleagues, people who've had a positive impact on you and who you feel has helped you to develop those good qualities that you appreciate in yourself. Who would those people be? And maybe just thinking about each one of these positive influences and send each one some gratitude and appreciation. Thank them. Thank them for being there and helping you to be the person that you are today, the person that has those qualities. And allow yourself to savor for this moment, feeling good about yourself. And really, 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 if you can, just let it sink in. Allow yourself to feel good about these qualities and about the people that helped you to develop them. And when you're ready, taking your time to release the practice, keeping those good feelings with you, you might want to open your eyes. And you might want to, if you can, if you have a pen and paper or some way of recording down what those qualities are. And some of the people that might have come to mind when you were doing the practice about who helped you to develop those qualities. And don't forget them. Remember them. Keep them with you. Write them down. Don't lose that bit of paper. Put it on your phone. Especially those days where the inner critic is kind of coming to the fore and telling you that you're not good enough. It'd be a really, really helpful thing to do. Yeah. It's a nice practice, that one, isn't it? Kind of goes against the grain a bit, doesn't it? Because we don't do that very much. Carol had just sent a text there to say that her reception's dropped out, so I think we've lost her, which is a shame. But she'll see the recording of this anyway. Any thoughts on that practice before we finish up and do our poems?
It's a lovely practice, Ciara. It actually took me back, I have to say. I was thinking about a lovely teacher that was very, very kind to me at school that I haven't thought about in a long time. So I was thinking, of course, about family and friends, and then all of a sudden, just straight in, and this lovely, lovely teacher. And I thought, oh, goodness, that's lovely and very warming. So today I put my hand on my hand. Normally I would put my hand on my heart. And again, it just felt really, she said, just there's something about that, as we've talked about, the soothing touch, and just being able to be open to accepting, those lovely compliments. So thank you for that. Also, I just wanted to show that I do feel we've been very fortunate, Ciara. You've been very kind to lead us through this webinar series, and doing, and helping us through these practices. And actually, one of the things you talk about, I'm just going to show it, was, having, I don't know if you can see a little heart on your wrist. Yeah. And that's very much something I've learned from yourself, just about, it's just a little reminder, isn't it, about being compassionate to ourselves, and that's really important. So thank you for that.
I love that practice. I have never really done it either. And it's kind of, how you would see yourself and then how others would see you might be slightly different, or maybe different qualities. It's hard to, because I would tend to underplay my strengths and just let it go, like, this is me, that's fine, that's making sure other people are okay. And then you're thinking, I wonder actually what people do think. It'd be interesting to hear, wouldn't it? I wonder what they would actually think. I enjoyed that. And like you, Sarah, mine went back to a PE teacher in school because I loved sports, and she was really good to me and probably nurtured me. And so that's real. It was a lovely thing to do. I think I'll do more. I will try that again. Ciara, thank you.
I do find it hard to think of quality sometimes. I think, just more on the critic, really. I'm getting better at it though, but it was nearly easier for me when I was able to think about who helped me to develop the qualities, nearly give me permission to go, well, you know what, I do have that quality, and this is where I got it from. Just a bit easier to accept the quality, maybe.
Yeah, no, you're right. It is hard. It is hard to think of your qualities. And I think it's as our roles as carers, caregivers and in work and at home, and it's always, you're giving to other people. You're always ensuring everybody else, is, you don't stop to think about your own qualities. It's just a matter of fact. Yeah, I'm a professional, and I'm kind and I'm caring. But as you say, you need to dwell on it and take it in and savor it and maybe develop it further.
For some people who've experienced trauma or who grew up in families or households where to be proud, or to be is seen as a bad thing, it's even more difficult then,
Yeah, no, lovely, thank you.
Ciara, you reminded me how often we don't do things like that are really helpful. And now you all mentioned a teacher. Well, I didn't think of a teacher because when I was in school, the only subject I really excelled in was lunch. But more than thinking about the qualities, you really got me thinking about the people that helped me get those qualities. And I was thinking about, my mom and dad, they gave me so much, but my neighbor up the street, and you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to drop my neighbor. Now, she passed away a couple of years ago, but I'm going to drop her son an email and say, you know what I was thinking of? Because she taught me the love of learning. And my dad gave me my sense of humor. And my mom was just my mom, is a salt of the earth kind of woman. And, so it was more than thinking about my qualities. It was gratitude for the people that helped shape them. Wow.
And how lovely would it be? I was even thinking when you were talking about your teacher, Sarah, is that person still alive? Would you be able to contact them? But imagine, for that neighbour's son to get an email or a card or letter or something like that, to know that years and years later you are still appreciating the impact that person had on your life. I mean, we can only dream of being able to do that for ourselves, for people. So if people in this practice, when I did it, I was thinking I just felt so lucky at the end of it that I could think of so many people who have helped me along the way and shaped me and whatever. And I actually did send a text to people and said I was doing this practice, and you came up, and I'm sure it was nice to receive. But why not tell people? Why keep that to yourself? Share
Beautiful. It. Yeah, and you're talking about gifts at Christmas. Like buying gifts, like how moving, how impactful, how beautiful to send somebody something like that, and they would cherish it. I'd say cherish.
Yeah. And people are surprised as well, because you often think, it's only the people that have been around in your life or your family or a long time, or but sometimes it's not necessarily the case.
Lovely.
So this is just advertising some of the clips that we have already gone out. Some of you may have seen the one on soothing touch and the love and kindness, and we've 2 more coming up on compassion for caregivers, which would be really good. And what was the last one again? I was only recorded it last week. What was it?
Inner critic.
Oh yeah, the inner critic. Yeah, it's a good one too. So keep an eye out for those, and you never know, we might do more next year. We'll give ourselves the aim, didn't we, of 4. So we've done 4 plus the Christmas special, but I think because we're enjoying it so much and people are finding it so useful, we'll probably keep going. But I love this poem, which I thought I would read for everybody. It's called Our Greatest Fear, written by a lady called Marianne Williamson. And I first, I suppose, noticed it when I finished my doctorate and I was in my first job and I was feeling really insecure. I don't know what I'm doing. I know, oh God, I have this doctorate title. Everybody thinks I know stuff and I don't. And I was just really panicky about it all. And I remember coming across this poem and I don't know, it just did something to me. It just kind of helped me settle a wee bit. Now, it does mention God is in there, but you can kind of substitute that, you know, word with like a higher power, or maybe about thinking about common humanity. So don't let that put you off if that's something that you don't normally respond to. It's called Our Greatest Fear. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, handsome, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You're a child of God, and your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We are born to manifest the glory of God within us. It is not just in some, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we consciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our fear, our presence automatically liberates others.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Sort of links in, doesn't it, with the practice of, or the appreciation practice? So yep, this is our staff helpline, which you all probably know right now, Monday to Friday. It's for staff for COVID related stress. You can give us a call, leave a message, someone from the psychology service will contact you and chat to you on the phone, try to be of help. It's confidential as well. Yep, and this is our email addresses. So if anybody wants to make contact with us or find out more about compassion or any of these practices, just send us an email. Thanks again to people who have emailed us with lovely feedback. It's so heartening and has brought a lot of enthusiasm for us. And have a lovely Christmas as well. Have a nice holiday. Hope everybody gets through it and rather than just endure and get the to-do list done, but actually just give yourself a wee minute to think about what is really important and try and devote your time and your energy to that as opposed to all the other things that we get caught up in. And Sarah's gonna play this poem that we recorded. It's on one of our other videos, isn't it? But do you want to say a wee bit about the poem, Sarah?
Certainly. So this was a video actually we had very fortunate a couple of children came together and read a few lines each. And Kira and I had actually used this in our webinar. I think it was this time last year, Kira. I think we called it COVID clapping and caring for each other. Is that right? Yeah. Yes. And we just thought it would be really helpful maybe to play it again just as we're moving forward. And, you know, there are things have eased a bit, but there's still concerns and certain restrictions, and just very mindful of our staff, you know, working through the winter pressures and trying to remain buoyant. And we just thought the kind of sentiment of this poem is still really, really very important. So we're just going to play that now.
Get your hankies at the ready.
Yes, indeed.
But everything is cancelled. Sun is not cancelled. Spring is not cancelled. Relationships are not cancelled. Love is not cancelled. Reading is not cancelled. Devotion is not cancelled. Music is not cancelled. Imagination is not cancelled. Kindness is not cancelled. Conversations are not cancelled. And hope is not cancelled.
Lovely.
Lovely.
And just to say thank you to our wonderful readers, Sean, James, Ben, Lois, and Sophia. There we go. Well, thank you, everyone. We just want to say thank you for, as Kira said earlier, all the wonderful feedback. It really has inspired us. And please keep sending it through. We want to change and adapt our videos for the future. Again, Kira, to say thank you to you for leading the practices, to Ed and Pauline and everyone else who has joined us. And just to wish everyone well over the Christmas period and do stay safe. Pauline, Kira, Ed, do you have anything you want to say just before we finish up?
Just have a good break, have a good holiday. take something from this. And if you can, let Kira and Sarah, know what you've used, what helped you through this, or what you carry on into next year.
Thank you.
Nothing, same as, take care, look, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. Hopefully you have a good Christmas. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, all the best, everybody. We'll see you again soon. Or you'll see
Bye,
us.
everyone.
Bye.